should shareholders or politicians decide the outcome of Pfizer's bid to buy Astra Zeneca?
This is this huge bid. It last stood at £63 billion, the biggest ever takeover, I believe, of a British company. And the question is, do the politicians decide whether it should go ahead, or the people who are shareholders in the companies? OK, Grant Schapps.
Well, look, the shareholders ultimately are the people who own the company. But it's very important to say that the British government should have the stance of being neutral, making sure that we get the best deal for Britain. And I can tell you exactly what that means.
Hang on, it should be neutral,
but
so
neutral
you don't mind either way.
But neutral in terms of making sure it's the best deal for Britain.
How can you decide that?
I will tell you if you let me finish the question. British jobs, British research, British R&D, British medicines in this particular case, British technology. Those are the tests. What's going to provide the best outcome for Britain? If you look at things like the British car industry as it stands today, Nissan produce more cars in this country than the whole of Italy outputs cars. That is because Britain has been an economy which has attracted more foreign investment to this country than the whole of the rest of Europe put together.
But you don't know, do you, in the future? You don't know what's going to happen with Pfizer.
No one can predict the future, but to say that you shouldn't...
if you can't predict the future, what can you do? Can you stop them coming? Can you stop them if you want to?
What you do is this. You speak to both sides. You find out what...
Can you answer my question? Can you stop them if you decide that it's not in Britain's interest?
Well, the laws as regulated means that there's limited ability for governments to intervene. These were the laws that were put in place
so you can't,
in 2000...
Sorry, wait a minute.
It's not weasel words.
No, wait a minute. Let's just be clear, Mr. Schapps. You're saying that the government, despite expressing an interest and concern, cannot actually stop this deal going ahead.
The government is able to put in place public interest tests. According to a 2003 piece of legislation that the previous Labour government put through, they removed politicians directly from the role unless there are specific national interests. But I can tell you what the national interests are.
No. I think everybody has their view about the national interest. The question is whether anything can be done about the national interest. Shirley Williams, can anything be done or not?
In 2002, the Enterprise Act was brought in by the Labour government and actually removed public interest except for two things. One was national security, and the second one was plurality of media. In other words, you couldn't have one owner owning the whole of the media press. Everything else was ruled out. They actually deliberately went on from a more liberal position to a more regulated position, which did not permit the public interest to cover the whole range. What that means is we are, frankly, emasculated in doing anything much about Astra Zeneca. And what's really sad about that is that our very brilliant emergence as a scientific and research nation is put at risk. Don't blame the politicians. The law doesn't allow the coalition government to do what you want it to do. One other thing.
Yes.
What it can do is to try to get a pledge out of Pfizer, and they haven't been very good at upholding pledges, and the only strength, the only power we have, frankly, is the ability of the NHS to go out and buy pharmaceuticals, and maybe we should use that ability more strongly than we've done so far.
All right. Chuka.
But of course...
You were making great play of this in the House Commons. Yeah. You accept the point Shirley makes. There isn't anything a British government can actually do.
There isn't at the moment, which is why we've extended a hand to the government and said we will work with them to change the law so that something can be done. Now, the question was, should it be the shareholders or should it be the politicians? In the overwhelming majority of cases, of course it should be the shareholders. But where you have certain strategic national assets, let's not forget, this is one of the jewels in the crown of British industry. It's our second biggest pharmaceutical company. It accounts for almost 3% of our exports. And that is why, particularly when you've got companies like this, which is so important to our science base, so important to R&D, and ultimately helping us compete in the world, that I think government has a role to play. Can I just say
just a role to play. Do you want to see a British government able to prevent a deal like this going ahead? That's the question.
If it's not good for R&D and science base of the country, we would like to see
that.
Which is why...
But the question is, Chuka, which I don't understand. In November 2012, you said, it seems to me, having a broad public interest test risks creating uncertainty and
we're
came
not
out against it.
and we're not proposing
So you're really
that.
saying the same thing as I'm saying?
No.
Jobs,
No.
R&D,
All right,
making sure it's a good deal.
Yes, Karen,
It
all
wasn't
right.
a broader. Can I just say something about the commitments, by the way, David?
What
because
commitments?
The Pfizer CEO gave a number of commitments to
You
the
believe
government last week.
commitments that,
well, this is the
public
thing. They are
companies
not
give?
worth the paper they're written on, because having given those commitments, he then said on a call with journalists on Friday that he was going to break up the company in 3 different parts, which could be sold
All right.
off.
Let's just
which would
stick
be
to this
bad for
question.
Britain.
The only thing I want to know is whether the politicians can or can't decide.
The law needs to be changed.
Caroline
now.
Lucas, you want to change the law, and you agree with changing the law.
No,
so
I'm
big-
saying that we
You're
need
not.
to put
Okay,
the
fine.
test in
Caroline,
place to make sure we
Caroline,
get the best bill for Britain.
Caroline Lucas.
But the law...
I agree with Zucker.
The point is
Caroline,
always thinking
no,
you
no,
have to
no,
change the
wait.
law isn't always the answer. The answer is making sure we get the direct investment in
Caroline
Britain
Lucas.
and we secure the job.
And then Nigel Farage, then we must stop, I'm afraid, because we're
I
over
think
time.
that we should reform the laws so that politicians can intervene in this strategic area. And I think that the whole era of economic globalisation, where we are at the mercy of corporate takeovers, is something that absolutely needs to be challenged. I don't want to see a Britain where we have our manufacturing, what's left of it, completely hollowed out. I don't want to see a Britain where we are just flaunting ourselves as a tax haven. Because I tell you what, if people come, if Pfizer comes to Britain because we've got the lowest tax, if that's what's attracting them, then you can bet your bottom dollar that when another country has a lower tax rate, they will be off again. It is utterly unsustainable.
Nigel
But can I say one
Farage.
thing?
No,
Because
you can't. No, you can't. I'm sorry, because we've run out of time. We really can't. Nigel Farage, you haven't to say, is this going to be in your manifesto? Is this
It
the
won't
UKIP
be
manifesto?
the shareholders that decide, it won't be the people that decide, it won't be Parliament that
He's gonna
decides,
say Europe.
it will not be
He's
the
gonna
British
say
government that decides, and the weasel,
He's gonna say
lies
It's
you have
good.
heard
It's Europe.
from these 3 parties
As ever,
on
it's
this
Europe.
panel,
The Enterprise
and you
Act
listen
is
to
a
them, and you listen, and they say, oh, the law needs to be changed.
Yeah, it's all Europe.
Enterprise Act is a
This
British...
All right,
decision,
let Nigel Farage...
decision,
Let Nigel Farage just finish his sentence,
you are either willfully lying to these people, or you're
lying to
pig
anyone.
ignorant. Vince Cable, in this debate, when he was pushed by John Redwood, admitted the ultimate decision as to whether Astra Zeneca could be taken
I was in
over
that debate.
by
He didn't do
Pfizer
that.
will
He
be
didn't do that.
taken.
He didn't
you see,
do that.
You see,
All
this
right,
is why
Nigel,
will be
Nigel.
taken by the European Commission. We have given away. We have given away.
No,
We have given
hey,
away
listen,
the ability.
everybody. Steady on,
You see-
steady on,
you see-
steady on,
you see,
steady on.
And this is what it's like. Well, we've
Nigel.
had years of this from these people.
Nigel Farage.
There is an enormous elephant in the room.
Nigel Farage.
There is-
Nigel Farage, will you listen to me just for a moment?
Yeah.
And that's the end of the debate. If Britain pulls out of the EU, are you saying that a British government would be able to stop takeovers
Yes,
like this?
absolutely.
Fine, thank you. Point.
Absolutely.
All right. So, fine. You've got 1 point to go in your manifesto. Our time's up. Next week we're going to be in Coventry. That's the week before these elections. We've got a panel